TV, we're ready to start.
Trust that they pushed the button, I guess.
Give him a few minutes here, seconds. Okay, I assume we're on TV, so we're going to get started. This is the October 5th meeting of the Goffstown Sewer Commission. Normally we meet next week, next Tuesday, but we backed it up a week and publicly noticed it so that we could have our figures ready for the Budget Committee as requested. So before we do anything, as usual, we'll do our roll call. We'll start with Corey.
Corey White, sewer foreman.
Lynn Pooler, sewer secretary.
David Pierce, Commissioner.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner.
Daniel Taylor, Commissioner.
Michael Trank, Hoyle Tanner and Associates.
And on the phone, we have our Selectmen's rep. Could you please identify yourself, Chet?
Sure, Chet Boland, Select Board Rep.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. So before we begin, we always begin a meeting with public comment. So do we have anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is the approval of our minutes from our September 14th, 2021 meeting.
Yep, motion to approve the minutes of September 14th.
I'll second.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes as presented from September 14th meeting. Been made by Dave and seconded by Daniel.
I also have the minutes from September 20th. I forgot to put those on the
Yeah, we'll
agenda. Do you
take
want
that up in
to
a
wait
moment.
until next week or do them this week?
Why don't we do them next week,
Okay.
next meeting?
Okay.
One page.
Okay.
And the vote is?
We're going to call for a vote now. I thought we were still discussing the motion. Okay, all those in favor of approval of the minutes from September 14th, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? It passes. So you have another set of minutes, Lynn? What do you have?
Yeah, the minutes from our workshop on September 20th.
I did not see them, but if Dave thinks they're good, I will trust in his judgment.
I've reviewed them
You did review them, Daniel?
before we started.
Yep,
So I'll accept the motion.
yep, motion to approve the minutes from our workshop.
I'll
on
second.
September 20th. Yep.
Motion has been made to accept the minutes as presented for the September 20th workshop. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. September 20th. Okay, we have new business is a normal topic for the meeting. And do we have any new business, Lynn?
No.
No new business items. Okay, under old business, we are working on our 2022 budget. So Lynn, why don't you give us a quick rundown on what you've got in front of us tonight?
Okay, I'll go over first the questions that we had from our workshop. The first one is you wanted me to research what was paid, what you have in front of you. You wanted me to research what was paid in Belmore Plumbing. And that, we did not see that because last year we budgeted it under the VACON. We put our actual charges under VACON.
Because the line was funded last year?
We did not have the line funded in 2020. So we put our actual charges from last year under the VACON.
I'm saying, but the VACON line was funded last year.
In 21.
In 21, let me look at the budget here.
And
In 2021,
year to date.
I'm looking at the budget. Original for 2021, we budgeted the VACON.
Expenses at 20,000.
Right.
Okay. So
And that's where we're putting our charges that will show up this year. We will be putting them under the VACON.
I thought we were
No.
not using.
We weren't using VACON. We budgeted VACON last year, but the Belmore charges from this year are going to go under the VACON line.
No, we
Next
voted.
year, the back online will be gone.
Yes, next year the VACON line will be gone,
So
and we're going
next year
to
it'll be
do it.
gone.
We're going to put it under contract
Okay.
services.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then, so that, what I put under the budget,
Zero.
Right.
yes, so next year's budget, we'll see it when we go through the budget, is zero for VACON, and Belmore is budgeted under contract services.
Okay.
Okay? The other question you had was, How much did we pay Belmore last year? Or
Right.
we paid them $25,867.75.
25,000?
867.75. We didn't do all the
Where does that,
cleaning
is that
last
in
year.
our sheet, or is this, where is
That
it?
one is under, it is under the, it is under back-on expenses.
2020 year end,
Yep,
28,047.
right, 25,867 of that is Belmore and Project Flagging. And then the rest of that was for fleet maintenance,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, we're gonna halt the meeting for 1 second.
okay.
Danielle, please join us at the table. Right, sit on the side, you don't have to sit in the hot seat over there. And please identify yourself for the record, since we already started the meeting.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Danielle Besora, the Assistant Town Administrator and Finance Director.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so Lynn,
Why don't we can stop what I was going over if you want to do hers, because she's
Yeah, that
another
way you can
meeting
go home
after
quicker.
this.
Okay. Yeah, I
She
got
has another
another
meeting.
meeting at 6.
So I'll
Okay.
start.
so we asked the Lynn to find out about the cost to consider hiring another employee. The commissioners, in discussion, made it very specific that we wanted to hire that person under an administrative title and would work through the town office building where Lynn's office is located. And administrative duties could include a lot of things that Corey is doing now that he needs to be helped with because he can't do everything by himself. So if we consider a position in the future, we would be administrative, and we would assume that we would be able to do it free of the Public Works Department, because we do not want to have a shared position with Public Works if we go this route. So that was the commissioner's desire.
Okay.
And we asked Lynn to get information for a employee starting at, we picked a random number of $19 an hour.
Okay.
So is that the information you had?
I do.
Okay, and is that's not in any of our notes here tonight, Lynn? This is something that we're getting a
I'm gonna
report
hand
on?
this
Right,
out.
I haven't done
Oh,
anything
okay.
with this sheet, the
Okay.
Yeah,
finance,
I have
that's
a
that.
handout for you guys. If they could just kind of take one. It's only one sheet. It's a large sheet just because of
Because of the printer.
the printer and the length. I didn't want the numbers to be too tiny.
Thank you.
Yeah, the budget sheet.
So 1 second, Danielle, we'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, so I wasn't sure, I know it sounds like there's still some discussion about what that job description would turn out to be.
Okay,
I wasn't sure if it would be more like a sewer technician that would help with reporting and also out in the field, or if it'd be just purely administrative for paperwork or what, but I figured.
we haven't
that's-
actually assigned
Okay,
anything.
so
We were
that's still
looking at the
in development.
numbers
Okay.
to see what direction we might go.
Okay, so I started with the number that could get as close to that $19 that's on an existing non-union
Yep.
scale.
Yeah,
So you'll see the wage rate there is listed as $18.90. That is labor grade 4, step 1.
labor
Actually, I have a couple more handouts. I'll
grade
pass along.
for step 1.
Yes. So these ones.
Now, could you explain what labor grade 4 means briefly, if you can?
Sure. So all of the positions in town are broken into labor grades. So a couple years ago, the town hired a consultant to come through and help us designate, across all of the different types of positions in town, since you can't really compare apples to apples with different types of positions, to grade them against the market and what the employee's doing compared to the market, and then put them all into a matrix. So we have a 16-step non-union matrix, and it has 16 labor grades as well. So the labor grades, as you'll see in this handout, are split by about the first 6 grades are 7%.
We don't
Oh,
have,
sorry,
we don't
10%,
have the
sorry.
handout.
Nope, I've got it coming your way.
Okay,
So it'll be 10% apart on the labor grades for the first 6, and then 7% on the higher labor grades.
all right, that's great. I just wanted to understand so everybody would know exactly what you
Yeah,
mean.
so a
when you-
labor grade kind of goes down the left-hand side of your handout, and it's going to separate positions And then the steps are gonna go across.
I think they're packets
Yeah,
of 3.
Yeah, there's 2 sheets. I figured it'd be easier than
No,
trying
you
to have
keep
2
two.
files.
You're confusing them.
Sorry about all the handouts.
I get those 2, please, David, thank you.
Perfect, everybody's got one. So, the sheet that is stapled, what you're seeing on the front is how all of the positions are graded on those labor grades. And then the second page shows you the matrix itself. So it shows you the labor grades on the left and the steps going horizontally across. So someone who starts a position at entry level would probably start at wherever their labor grade is for the position at step 1. And then they would go across, of course, throughout their career with, annual pay increases or merit increases that would move them along the steps horizontally. So 1890 was as close to the $19
Yeah, that's great.
mark.
That's perfect.
The second page that you have there that's not stapled is just for a reference, because like I said, I wasn't really sure what the position was going to look like. This is the Teamsters matrix for DPW. So as you can see, a laborer or a truck driver, just for comparison, the truck driver currently starts at $18.90, and that's with a CDL required.
Okay,
So I just wasn't sure how this position might compare, but wanted to give you a point of reference.
okay.
So back on the large sheet, you can see we have the wages and the hours. 2,080 hours would be a 40-hour per week position, so that's full-time. Under the town's current personnel plan, they could be full-time at 35 hours, so I've built this sheet so that we can tweak it based on the commission's desire.
And this is based on a 40-hour week
This
this
is
year?
a 40 right now.
Okay, thank you.
So 40 hours times the 52 weeks would bring us to that actual hours total of 2,080. And then all of the other columns that you see going across are the benefits that have to come along with a full-time position. So FICA, Medicare, retirement, and then it gets into the insurances. Health, dental, short-term, long-term, and life.
Okay,
So as you can see, the wage total is in the dark blue. And then you have your benefits total and combined. So you can see, and then the 2 lines on the bottom underneath the total show you a half year and a quarter year. So
Okay.
depending on when the position were hired, if they were hired July 1st or after the budget passes, that
Yep.
sort of thing.
okay.
So that's just to give you a point of reference. Like I said, we can easily tweak these numbers. It's all in Excel. So we can adjust as you see fit.
Anybody have any questions for Danielle, David, or Daniel? We thank you very much for your work. This is exactly what we were asking for. Perfect.
Well, now, if we need to decide to do this tonight, if we want to do it for next year, right?
It depends. We are working on budget entry at this point. We will be bringing the budgets to the select board for starting their presentations and deliberations October 18th. And then, of course, it'll go to the budget committee, and the sewer commission's budget goes to the budget committee. So you do have a little bit more time, but we print out the report. So if a change is made, we'll need to know so that we can update so that the budget committee has the appropriate version in their binder. Because they get their binder on October 18th.
So tonight you want us to vote on what, this doesn't have to be in there.
It doesn't have to be in, yeah. The budget tonight would be your budget that you're definitely, planning on moving forward, all your operating items. This one, if you're ready to make a decision on it, that's fine. If there's more logistics to figure out or whatnot.
So let's
it's up
just,
to you.
let's just briefly discuss timing then. The vote on the town's budget is in March.
It is, yes.
So that would be a 3/4 year, it's fiscal year from December 31st, January 1st?
Right, we are on a
Or
calendar
January
year.
1st, December 31st?
Yep, so we're January to December. Generally, we would say 3/4 is the maximum because the budget's in the middle of March. And then if the budget passes and you post the position, you usually need a few weeks to
Hire.
get people, interviewed and all of that.
So how does that affect us then for the following calendar year when we have to propose the full year if we do something like this?
The number would just adjust, just like you see now in your operating budget, if you tweak it up or down by 10 or 20,000, depending on what
Could
the
that
line
number
is.
get defeated at the vote?
Could the,
Let's say they voted the budget down. then we're stuck with our default
Default
budget,
budget.
which we would have budgeted only for 3/4 of a year.
Yep.
So I think it would be wise to budget for a full year.
No.
No?
No, because what happens is if the budget, even if it were to get voted down in the second year and you were with your default budget, or even if you had it in there for 3/4 or a full year this year and it gets voted down, the commission still has the opportunity to move their appropriations around, and hiring throughout the year, hiring new positions, is something that falls under the purview. So you could, decide next year, even if this wasn't in the budget, or even if it was only in the budget for a half year, and then you decide, you know what, we want someone to come on closer to 3/4.
Or even full-time.
Or even full-time, you'd be able to then adjust your figures within your budget appropriations. And we have seen in the past, just looking at the expense history, you haven't had any issue with cash flow as far as
No.
keeping your budget within
Right.
the appropriated dollars.
I just want to make sure that if we have budgeted for a 3/4 year as a request this
Right.
calendar year, that we would not have a problem budgeting for a full year the following year by way of vote, by the town vote on budget.
Right, I really wouldn't anticipate it being a major problem,
Okay.
especially because the full year would become part of your default budget, because if the new position is passed in this year's budget, the 2022 year, as 3/4, it would, if it's passed, that appropriation becomes part of the regular positions.
Okay.
So the position itself would be budgeted for the following year's
Good,
default.
thank you. That's the big question I want
Yeah.
to make sure was asked and answered. Thank you. Any other questions for Danielle from members of our commission here, or employees, or anybody else? Then I will say thank you very much for your hard work, and we
She's
appreciate it.
not,
We do have a
Done.
couple other things. Lynn had said you were looking for some revenue information, as well as current balances on your accounts.
Okay, because I'm sure the budget committee wants to know all that when we make our presentation
Yeah,
to the
you'll
budget
want to be
committee.
able to know. Yeah, I think, something that Lynn and I have talked about is, it's a good idea in general for the sewer commission, because it is a self-sustaining enterprise fund, to try to budget your operating budget within what your expected revenues are for that year.
Mhm.
And then you can use your savings essentially for your capital projects and things of that nature.
Okay.
So when we take a look at your budget, I haven't finalized revenues at this point. I'd have to work with Lynn to find out if any major accounts have been added, like any commercial accounts. I know next year, I think there's a few projects that may be coming online, but I don't know if they'll be ready next year or the year after.
We've already,
condos and
I think
things.
we've already committed next year to the
Okay.
phase 2 of Louis Street, which is part of our CIP.
Well, that's
No,
the capital
she's
project, but I mean
talking
on the revenue side, if you have
revenue.
new connections coming in.
Oh, I understand.
like the condos coming in.
Yeah, but that doesn't go to our budget, that goes to a separate account.
So, correct, you have an
Okay.
expense budget, but you also have your revenues. And so generally what we try to do is we do have to present both sides to the budget committee. So we'll present to them the expenses that are proposed and then the revenues. The revenues, of course, aren't something we can change necessarily. We just have to calculate what they are based on how many connections you have. But if there are any major changes coming in the next year, Lynn and I want to capture those because you may have, 100 more customers depending on what the
And
volumes
those,
are.
and we only get to use sewer use fees,
Correct. yeah.
not
Right. You can
Accessibility.
use sewer-
accessibility fees.
Right. Your accessibility fees can be used for some of your capital projects.
Right.
Your sewer use fees can be used for your operating expenses. And then also you have sewer retained earnings, which is something that you'll see on your revenue report every month. And that is basically when we say your budget is is $1 million. And if they turn around and say, oh, we calculate your revenues for sewer use fees at $800,000, we would use retained earnings from years prior to make up that gap so that
Okay.
you have enough.
Danielle, wouldn't it be easier just to base the expected revenue on our current customer base
That's exactly what
Without-
we do.
without extrapolating that, potentially we're going to have 100 new customers?
Yeah, typically
It
that's
gets
what we
too
do.
complicated.
The only time we add in some is if there's a very large project coming, Or if you know for a fact, like if Corey tells Lynn, like, for sure, this customer's a commercial customer, they're gonna be using, 10,000 units or something, and they're coming online in March.
The
like-
large projects we see in town
Aren't
today
Aren't as
aren't going to be
No.
ready for occupancy,
Until much later.
yes,
Okay.
in
So-
22. It's very doubtful.
So at this point,
3 of
then, your sewer use charges with current connections are $1,420,800. That's what we have estimated.
So that's our revenue that we can say we have available to spend.
Those are your sewer, yes, your anticipated 2021 revenue. Additionally, your accessibility revenue and miscellaneous revenue. Miscellaneous revenue is really minor. So far this year, you've only collected $260, and that's for, permits or a few other little things that aren't part of your major revenue.
I have one quick question. You just said the $1,420,800 is sewer use charges only,
Yes,
not accessibility fees?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just to let you know, I looked back at your history, and your collection rate has been very good. You're averaging just about 98% of your collection. So of that 1.4 million, you can expect that you're going to get about 98% of it within that calendar year. And then, of course, there's a small amount that might carry over as receivables if there are any liened accounts or anything of that nature.
Okay.
It's only 30,000, might not come in.
Right, it's pretty good odds, actually.
All right. Do you have other revenue stuff to discuss with us?
Yep, and then the other things, just to let you know where things stand right now. Cash-wise, now this does not consider the fact that you still have 3 months in the year, so you will be having cash flow for the remainder of the year for everything from wages to AP. But just to give you an idea, your current cash is $937,000. And then your retainage and your accessibility, which is of course in a separate account, is $927,000.
And what is that again, that number, that last number, what is that?
927?
Is for what? What is
That
the-
is retainage and sewer accessibility. So the retainage, if you had a contractor who had done something and we had a 10% retainage, that is held in a sub-account
Okay,
so that we can isolate it, there's interest accruing on it. So when that money does go to the contractor, they get the full amount along with any interest.
and sewer accessibility, is that accessibility fees, is that what you're saying?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
sewer accessibility fees.
And those are past collected fees that are just sitting in account right now?
Correct, and
And-
those are there for those capital improvement projects primarily.
Okay, so we could be funding our sewer reconstruction with some of that money if we chose to.
Correct, yep.
Okay,
So, and that's another reason why if you looked at your budget and you felt like, we're budgeting closer to what we anticipate, which is really, that's the goal.
Mhm.
And then if something happened and you said, you know what, we want to add a full-time position and we didn't propose it in the budget, you could choose to do that at any meeting that, once it's ready and you have all the info ready, you could choose to make that motion and then reassign funds from other operating lines and then backfill the funds for your capital projects from your accessibility. Because those funds are more restricted than your operating funds, which can move around.
so in theory, we don't really need to even propose a position in the budget. We have the authority to move our funds and hire in the middle of a calendar year.
You do, it just won't become part of the default budget until it is part of a proposed budget.
Thank you. Any other questions for Danielle on the revenue stuff she's given us
Now,
so
the
far?
money that's in our trust, where is that within
Yeah.
these numbers?
So that is another one. So the trustees of the trust fund, they're holding funds that you had put into that sewer retained earnings trust.
Yes,
Capital reserve fund. That is currently at $3.5 million. And those can be drawn upon by the commission at any time. You would just need to let them know, make a motion at your meeting, and then we would send the paperwork to them and they would make a disbursement to you.
so the retainage you just talked about, the 927,000, that's liquid money that is available to be used when we felt like using it.
For accessibility, yeah.
Okay,
And the 937 that
Is
you
our-
have is just in your operating
that's our
account.
normal, to pay for our normal operating budget.
Yeah, exactly.
if
So
we
that's what
went-
helps with your cash flow.
So if we went over budget in something, we might not have to take out of the trust fund, that 937,000 is available to take from?
So the 937 is your regular, think of it like your checking account.
Mhm.
So that's what gets used first. And then if you went over budget and you were able to reassign your budget so that the money coming out of the accessibility account is specifically for capital projects, that's when you could dip into the 927. And then if you wanted something that was more than what you have for cash on hand, but not specific to capital projects, that's when you'd be going into your capital reserve, which is just retained earnings that the sewer has.
So quickly.
All of this is sewer use fees.
So quickly, Commissioners and Lynn, we are just assigned an 800,000 plus contract to do sewer reconstruction. Where was that money going to come
That
from?
is part of our CIP,
Yeah, but the money comes from somewhere. Where's that money come from?
that's in our budget.
It's in your operating budget, so it's going to initially come from the $1.4 million that is expected from your current sewer charges.
Yeah,
But again, we could use the retained earnings. So once the budget is completed and Lynn turns over the proposed expenses, that's when I fill in those revenues. And we would put in, a retained earnings line like we did last year. We had $710,000 listed as retained earnings using prior funds.
okay. All right, good. So we have some politely wiggle room to move things around if we saw fit.
Yes, you're in a very strong cash position and you're able to do those capital projects without having to worry too much about the transfers. But if there was ever a concern as far as cash flow of the payments going out to the contractor, I would talk with Lynn and come to one of your meetings so we could discuss which option you'd like to, which pool
Good.
of money to adjust from.
Good, good. That's good news. Excellent news.
And I
Any
think that's-
questions
I think
on the
that's
revenues from
everything.
commissioners? Well, then, if you are completed, you said you have to be at a meeting at 6?
Yep, just upstairs with the trustees of the trust fund. So I think that's everything that Lynn had mentioned you guys
It
were
is.
looking for. Okay.
Thank
If there
you.
are any questions or anything else you think of, just let her know and she'll track me down.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Lynn, this is the
Oh,
sewer
the
warrant.
Okay, if you just pass
So,
it down.
before you leave, very briefly, who
Thank you.
at our level here, Lynn, us, who's going to inform Derek that we do not want to pursue a DPW shared position? Is that something that you should be doing, or is it something Danielle could do for us?
You do not want to pursue a shared position.
I do not, we do.
Right, he is aware of that. I spoke with him yesterday after you and I had talked.
Okay,
And
so
so I
he
let
is aware.
him know that, yeah,
okay then, so we don't need to go any further with that.
right. But he would be interested, of course, in just the logistics, helping to write the job description. That's something that Derek and I do, is help with job descriptions to
We
make sure
will.
they get standardized and.
We will have to give you some verbiage.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we can give you copies of, existing job descriptions if you kind of want to take a look, like Corey's or whatever, to be able to decide which items might be moving off of Corey's plate onto a different plate or whatnot.
And you
Okay.
guys,
So you have a
you've
starting
already
point.
discussed what you discussed with me about the supervisor and all
I
that
had
stuff.
mentioned to Tim that, from a logistics standpoint, as the position gets discussed further, we need to know details of, where the employee would be housed. Do we have to come up with space? What kind of equipment they might need? Do they need a computer? Do they need a vehicle? So that we can plan for, property insurance and those other purchases as might be needed, as well as who the supervisor would be, just so that we have an idea of how to report back to the commission
Okay.
as things occur.
we'll give you the information you need then. Great. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Have
Say
a
hi to
great
the
meeting.
trustees for us. Tell them thank you for watching our money.
Yes.
So while we're on the subject, does anyone here have comments based on the figures that we have received from finance
On the position.
on the position? The numbers that total wages and benefits for a 1 year is $648. That's a wages and a benefits calculation.
No, time will tell whether the starting wage is effective for
Which-
finding somebody.
what's
We
your
don't, we won't
labor
know
grade?
that. till we do it.
I'm labor grade 7, I think.
Yeah.
Where's that paper? I can tell you.
And where did you,
I'm 7.
you're at 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be 8, but somehow it got kicked down.
Under the caveat is your utility supervisor? Yes.
I don't understand, how did you get kicked down? You took a cut pay?
Wally used to be 8.
Oh, well, Wally had probably years in, they probably were giving him years in?
I don't think so, because it came that, they always said he shouldn't have been 8. So
Well, he should not have been at 8?
he should not have been at 8. So when I took over
It
that
was-
position, they reassigned it to 7
Okay.
instead
For
of
some
8.
reason, it was unique with his longevity and
Did it have to do with the transfer station portion of the job as well as the sewer portion?
That falls under 7 as well.
Okay.
And that $19 an hour kind of falls in place with the truck driver,
Well,
Yeah.
DPW, right?
Yeah, it's actually, the truck driver might get a little more. I think it's 19 and change.
well,
You
the
don't know
labor
what your
grade,
son makes?
truck
He's not a
drivers,
No, he only makes 18
truck driver
something.
starts at 18.90
Yeah,
according
but
to
he doesn't
that.
make 19, he makes 18 something.
Alright. There's no more laborers at Public Works, so I don't know why that's even on there anymore.
well, I'm happy with the position that you described in the starting wage, Mr. Chairman. What needs to be put down in paper is the daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks that ensure that we're gonna have an employee that's effectively engaged for 40 hours a week.
So Corey, we're gonna ask you to come up with a list of functions that you can train and share. I mean, we're talking about even cutting the grass and shoveling snow at the facilities. It's not just a pencil and paper job, it's an all-around job.
Yeah.
And helping with on-call is the big thing, right?
It'll also help with the on-call, and that will keep us from having to, we have Jeff, who's supposedly helping you on-call, but that gives you the third person for the on-call, which will help you with on-call, and it could also help you with needing an extra hand on a night call.
Yep.
So it'll also provide redundancy, say you quit, you get injured,
There
or
needs to be
sick.
somebody else that can do the routine.
Long term.
Yeah.
You want to take a vacation?
Okay.
Coming
So-
shortly.
We're gonna continue to discuss this and see, are we going to propose this in our 2022 budget?
Did we have any
Lynn?
remaining questions, Lynn, on our
I'm actually,
proposal?
I'm gonna do it a different way than the way I started, because it was confusing. So we're just gonna start looking at our budget.
We looked at a lot of the budget, and I don't want a redundancy and
We have-
go over everything
We-
all over
We
again.
must be out of here by when, Lynn?
6:45 is the
Yeah,
latest.
okay. Thank
So I would like to skip the lines that we agreed on and use the lines that we discussed that we needed to be clear on.
There's only a few of them. So I increased the
Tell us where you are.
computers and technology, the first 3260000, the first section, 48450.
Computers and communication, it
Yep,
says.
we had budgeted 10,000
Yep.
when we met, and I increased that to 11,000.
11,000,
Yeah,
not,
oh, I didn't have it on, I didn't change it on this, but we are changing that to 11,000 because
that's,
IT told me that there was something that we were getting charged, that had increased in
you
price.
presently have it listed at 10,
Right,
right?
and I'm gonna change that to 11.
Okay, commissioners agree on that change that to 11?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then, let's see. What else? Then we went down to the CIP projects is at 645, 484. You
Wait a
had
minute.
asked me to look at Grenice, what the contract was, and
We
that's
have, we're not on,
6190.
we're not on the same line.
I'm
CIP
sorry, now we're down at the second section.
53,475
Yeah.
is CIP projects.
Yep,
Okay.
so that's, you asked me to just check what the contract was for the sewer replacement project.
Yep.
Grenice. I wrote it over there, it's 861,980.
Right,
Yes.
So that's, we can't change that budget amount, but
But we can
That's
use,
what- see,
we
I
can
think
use our
that- right.
funding.
Right,
Our, excessive, this, 927
Yeah,
amount that we had.
the retainage and
right.
accessibility fee funds, we can use that to pay the difference on that.
And let's go back up, I missed contract services up there,
Yep,
45070. We didn't have anything budgeted at the last meeting. I budgeted 53,000 because that's where the expenses for cleaning, what we used to have charged in back on for cleaning the sewer
But-
pipes.
I thought we were using Ray Belmore for cleaning.
That is
sewer.
Belmore, so, but we have to pay him.
But we didn't spend that much last year, we spent.
But that's because we didn't do everything. We didn't get everything done that we were supposed to. This is the quote that I had last year.
That's
That's-
what we budgeted last year. Then we only missed it by, it was under, I don't know,
Last
1,000
year.
feet. It was
Then I'm-
basically a day.
But I'm
We missed it
confused,
by a
I'm
day.
confused about the numbers, because we paid Belmore 30, what was that number?
28,047.
28, but we're budgeting 53, and we just missed it? It sounds like that's a long way from just missing the full boat.
That's all we had left to clean with, it was like 860 feet. We weren't sure how long it was really gonna take. That's why we budgeted
55.
55.
But we,
because
in
didn't have-
actuality, we spent 20
28.
plus flagging, or was that including?
No, flagging is in there. We got all the,
How come I can't find it?
that one, I didn't give you that one. Belmore total with flagging and everything was 25,867.75.
25, 8,
And that included
67,
project flagging,
75. So we spent $25,000 on
26,000
on
really.
cleaning and flagging, and we
Yeah.
only missed it by 1,000 feet.
Less than that. I think
So
it
if
was
you wanted to
860.
add, and how many feet did you do, Corey?
I think it was
Ballpark.
Ballpark, 42,000 and change.
So I would say that 55 is over budgeting.
I went
for
with
that
last
number.
year's budget, so what do
What do you
you
think, Dave?
think it should be?
I'd cut it down 20 grand
Well.
to be safe.
Yeah,
So 35?
yeah, that still gives you some
Wiggle room.
bumper room.
And I think I'll even come in less than that this year, but I'm not sure, 'cause I'm almost done.
All right. So would you like to put it in for 35 then this year?
I'm comfortable with that.
All right, Daniel?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna change that line to 35, Lynn?
Okay, yep, we changed that.
Just reverse the numbers.
Yep. Oh, there you go, yeah.
Dyslexic.
Looks like I was dyslexic.
You're not.
Okay.
And that'll show as a decrease on a budget line item in front of the budget committee as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They like those numbers.
And you're gonna have another decrease if you look at
Okay.
Manchester O&M,
Okay, what,
62100, same section right underneath back on.
yeah,
I'm making that budget 550,000.
and that will include any capital projects
That
we're gonna
includes
send?
everything, yes.
You talked to them?
Yeah, we've been budgeting over
Okay,
every year.
so we're gonna reduce that by 100,000.
Mhm.
So that's all capital projects in O&M too.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
what else you got for us, Lynn?
I think that's everything that I changed. Let's see, look at the questions.
We have the last line on that page is the pump station upgrade. We bumped that from 350 to
Oh, yeah,
600.
yep, that was on our list that I was just gonna go over, that you had asked Corey to check with Mike about that. And the estimate he got from Mike was about 600,000.
We can let
he
Mike
said.
speak to that if Mike would like to. Is that where we are, Mike, on the East Union pump station? I mean, Elm Street pump station.
Yeah, I think so. I've been adjusting the construction estimate as we go. And I'm figuring roughly maybe up to 400,000 for construction, then an allowance of 20% for contingencies. And then you'll also need construction bid engineering services. And I don't know if that comes under that line or a different line.
But would that
But-
have been included in the 600
Yeah.
number? Okay, we'll just leave it all as
That's
a package.
total project cost.
We'll leave it as a package, because it is germane to the project. It doesn't have to be a separate consulting line item.
Okay, then you had asked me to look at the consulting charges for 2020 and 21. That's what these
What-
sheets
what-
are. They're not on there. We're done with this sheet now.
Okay.
Now I'm going back to what you asked me at the last meeting. So you had asked me to look at the consulting charges. I think it was because of Belmore, but this is everything we've paid. The top sheet is everything we've paid so far this year, broken down by vendor. And the second page is everything we paid last year.
So we've got Hoyle Tanner's is the first block.
Yeah.
The second block is Castle Environmental,
Which is Mike. Yeah,
right? Consulting Union Leader and Sanders Searches.
yep.
So we spent 34,574 on consulting services.
So far this year.
And what was our budget line amount for consulting service? It is 45.
45.
Yep.
So we are not over budgeted in that
No,
line.
no. Nope.
And we can show that, oh, that's right there, the 34,575 is showing right
And
now.
if we need money, we can take money from contract services.
No, I don't wanna take money from something else. I wanna budget properly.
No, I'm saying this year, if we run over for some reason, we have money in the budget to cover it,
Right,
is what I'm saying.
okay.
And so that was all the consulting. And the last thing,
Well, what's the next page on the consulting?
that was last year's
Last year.
consulting
That was
charges.
last year, I apologize, I didn't read that.
And then we are over budget this year in computers.
Okay,
So I just need you to make a motion, I was talking to Danielle, I need to have a motion made to allow me to transfer money in the budget from, from contract services to computers and technology.
where's computers in our list here?
Computers is up above under
Up
sewer
above.
administration,
Down.
and we're over by, it's gonna be more than that. It's
Tell me the first block, second block, or third block?
the first block,
48,450.
Okay. How much,
Okay.
Lynn, to move?
Well, see, it's only $1,000 at this point.
yeah, about 1,000, or about 1,500.
But, you know, I did budgeting, and I paid bills in a prior job, and I never had to ask to just move money between lines. You just cover it.
Well, Danielle's telling me, I mean, I can wait, but she was talking to me and she told me we should make a motion to move it in the
Right,
budget.
So
Let's just do
You're
it.
firm on 1,000.
1,500, I think.
Why don't we make it a nice round two, David, so that gives them a little bit of wiggle.
Okay, Lynn, be
Okay.
prepared to write.
Okay.
Motion to move $2,000 from line 45070, known as contracted services, to 48,450, known as computer and communications.
I'll second that. So motion's been made and seconded to transfer the money between lines. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Here's your motion.
Thank you. And then the last thing, if Corey was supposed to contact the state of New Hampshire to inquire about the amount of gallons of fuels required for the backup generator.
I got nowhere with that.
What were you gonna inquire about, Corey? I
You're
missed
trying
it.
to, number one, the tank that is, I found out what the tank was. And that is a fiberglass, double wall fiberglass tank.
For the diesel generator. Oh, good, that's great news.
So
Does it have a monitoring alarm for moisture in between the two
it
walls?
doesn't have a monitoring alarm for moisture, but it does have some sort of an alarm system attached to it. I've been digging through the files trying to figure out exactly what it is.
And how about an age on that tank? Ballpark.
Yogi said mid to late 80s.
Okay.
Does the alarm work?
Good question. I have no idea. I don't even know if it is an alarm.
Well,
So
it's a
it
double
has-
wall tank, that's all we need.
It's a
to know.
double wall fiberglass.
Could be a leak detection.
Well, as you continue to dig, maybe you could get some more,
Yeah, the state,
Pertinent
the
information
state
for
had
us.
nothing to, they don't require, I couldn't get a straight answer out of anybody.
When he said dig, you're referring to paperwork.
no, I wasn't asking them to dig the thing up.
Thank
no.
you. Thank you.
Fiberglass tanks and
Fiberglass
teeth
double wall
don't
tank.
like each other.
Mm-mm.
So if you could find out some more, appreciate that information, if you could find a
Yeah.
little more about what's going on, it'd be great to know.
I have to give Yogi credit, because he was good at keeping like the files on everything, but it's
Good.
just digging through them all.
Good, good. All right. Was there anything else that was
That's-
part of our budget discussion for tonight?
That's all that I have for the budget.
All right, so the last item is our consideration, unless you have other items, David or Daniel.
Lynn has all the figures to allow you to go into the budget. Fine.
Well, I, for one, would like to propose this position at the amounts shown by finance. Except that, do we do it for the 3/4 year? Is that what we do it for?
Yes,
So I would ask,
45,486.
is that the number?
45,486. And 3 cents.
It's a 3/4 year.
That's 3/4 year.
Anyway, I'd like to include that in our proposed budget under the, what would be under, so which line are you on, Lynn, for, you're in the administration, regular wages?
I'm in the administration, so it would be regular wages, and it would be
It's
all
spread-
the above
it's
ones up
spread
there.
all
It would be added to
The bottom line.
41,100 down through
43.
43,110.
Yeah.
And Lynn would, or you would work with Danielle on spreading it out in that section.
Yeah, they budget all that, so right there, that's mine, and then part of Danielle's salary is in there, and so then he would go
Right.
across.
Now-
And Corey's down below.
If we hired an engineering tech, why do we have to share that tech with DPW?
First of all, it's not gonna be an engineering tech.
Say we wanted to.
We don't have to share with DPW. That was the assumption that was made upstairs when we talked about having another employee. They assumed that we wanted to do another cost-sharing employee with DPW, which was clearly discussed by this commission and decided against it. No more than Lynn is a cost-sharing employee with the town hall upstairs. In exchange for her being supplied, us being supplied with office space for Lynn, use of the phones, computers, everything, we agreed a long time ago to have Lynn, or a sewer secretary, share in coverage at the counters up there during vacations and days off and sick days. So that was why we are in a shared work position upstairs, but there's no shared cost for Lynn upstairs. We foot the bill for her entirely. And that's what I was asking the commissioners to consider. Foot the bill entirely for another position. It would be through admin, and it would be, we would have to write this job description to the satisfaction of the town administrator and Danielle so that it meets the criteria. So we have to work on a job description. But no, I don't, they made an assumption it was a shared position, and that was incorrect.
Right.
Good.
Like a motion?
I would, sir.
Thank you. Motion to add a position with the appropriate cost spread in the administrative lines to cover a 3/4 of a year for a grade 4, step 1 person.
And that is wages and benefits included.
Yes, it's, according to the finance director, 3/4 of a year would be 45,486.
And it would be
That amount doesn't have to be
And it is
in
a-
the motion, it's just that we're adding a
And
grade
it's a
4,
full,
step
and
1.
it's a full-time position.
So add a full-time position.
Full-time position, budgeted in the forthcoming year for 3/4 of a year.
For grade 4, step 1.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You concur?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to propose a new position, grade 4, step 1, for 3/4 of a year and included in our 22 budget. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Right.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question. Potentially, we have relief and backup for Corey next March. But how are you doing between now and next March?
like we're still trying to figure that out.
Well, you won't have to deal with inspections for any projects between now and next March. You'll just do your regular duty, doing your pumps and problems and calls, and your shared duties with DPW.
Which I would love for that to go away.
But we are going, if we can work things out and get this worked out, it's just gonna be a tremendous help to you when the summer season starts and you're gonna be expected to do inspections on Louis Street. When, if we could get someone in there to help you with, dig safes, help you with picking out, bringing permits, help you with reading pump station numbers, this would be a huge relief.
Oh, I know.
So this is where we are.
Now, what if we, how would we remove you from DPW responsibilities?
We'd have to have an act of God at this point.
You have to have the only thing holding me to DPW, legitimately, the 10% is just so I have an office. Is basically what it comes down to.
We are in a tough position, Daniel, because we have had this long-term relationship with the town and DPW. The only way that this is ever going to change would be a divorce from the town. And that's problematic because all of our sewer billing records and everything that Lynn does is all in everything upstairs. We'd have to have a major defection with the town. Go rent space, office space, somehow get all the sewer bills and all the stuff squared away, and it would be a huge, huge deal. We've weaned Corey,
Effectively, we'd be our own enterprise, self-sustaining.
Quasi-
same as the water department is. Well, we don't have, but here's the rub. We were not chartered by the state of New Hampshire like the water department is. The selectmen could put a warrant article on the town ballot in March proposing to dissolve the sewer commission and have the sewer department be absorbed into the town budget. And with an affirmative vote, we're done. There is no more sewer commission. So we have to play nice in the sandbox, if you will. Otherwise, this commission ceases to exist.
My gripe with the whole shared 10%, it's the fact that I'm on call for 2 different town entities where nobody else is. I'm the only person who has to field 1 million phone calls for DPW 24/7 and the sewer department. I want to be on call for one.
Well, this is a problem.
It is a problem because I get 1 million phone calls, nobody else gets any. And
I don't know why you're getting phone calls for DPW.
because they don't answer their damn phones, and it always reverts back to me because I have to answer my phone, because when you see the number for the police department, I have to answer. It
But
could
you
be an
answer
issue
for
with
the
pump
sewer,
station.
you answer for the sewer department.
I answer for the sewer department, but it's not like
It's the
when a
poli-
tree falls and that's blocking Elm Street, I'm gonna say no.
Well, why don't other public works employees answer their phones?
I've gone to
Okay.
Adam and complained several times.
And his answer to you
He
was?
said he would take care of it,
Okay.
and still, I run into it already. that
Well, let's
people don't
cross
answer.
that bridge another night, because this is all first-hand new information for us at this point. So we're gonna,
Meanwhile, keep track of the workload for us in case we need to.
It's
have-
all goes in my time. It
Yeah.
all goes in.
right now, the effort was to reduce your on-call status for the sewer department, and that's what this effort is at this point. We need to take these battles one at a time,
Mhm.
okay?
One thing I want to bring up to you before you end the meeting, the Manchester meter is done. It does not work anymore, the data collector. So I collected 3 prices to replace it.
Yep,
AD Instruments is low man.
okay?
He's coming Thursday to look at everything. And I'm gonna get in contact with Manchester to get in the building so we can check out their stuff and make sure they don't have an issue with what we're gonna change in
And you
there.
have 3 prices for us?
Yes, I
What are
do.
the 3 prices?
We have Stonkus Hydraulic.
Out of?
They're out of Massachusetts.
Okay.
And probably in the rest of the email. They were $68.77.
$6,877,
Yep.
okay?
And This one is First Electric Motors, Inc.
And,
They're Woburn.
okay,
They came in at 6,225.
okay,
And AD Instruments out of, I think it's Sandown.
okay.
He came in at 5750.
Well, it all works out. I wanna hire a New Hampshire contractor, and we got low bid from a New Hampshire contractor.
Can you just send me those bids so that I can put them with I can make a PO for them?
Can you paint them bright pink?
Now, that would come, do we have a line to cover that without a vote?
Yeah, I would put that under equipment repairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't need to even vote on that. You got pricing, you met the requirements. In my opinion, Dave, do you think we need to vote on anything?
No.
No, just get it done. You have the paper backup to cover yourself. Well done.
Make sure we get a PO for them.
You'll have to explain that.
Give me the 3 quotes and I'll get it done.
Perfect. That's easy.
So is anything left under old business for the budget?
No,
So I think we probably should make a motion to have Lynn clean it all up and make a final copy. And this is the budget that we agree on to send to the budget committee.
Great.
Okay, so either one of you two gentlemen, I would like a motion. Daniel, it's your turn.
Motion to approve
The changes to
the
the,
changes to our proposed 2022 budget as discussed
this evening.
this evening. Do we need a total number?
No, we don't need, we'll just leave it.
Okay, as discussed.
As discussed.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, accept the budget as changed this evening
Yes,
to be sent on to
second.
the budget committee. So motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Lynn, you'll clean it up and get us a clean copy, a final clean copy. And we'll send this, now when does this have to be submitted? October 8th
yes.
to the
Is when
budget
she-
committee?
Well, I know, I submitted October 8th to Danielle.
Okay, good. So we met our deadline for the submission?
Yeah, and the budget committee meets on, I think, the 14th.
Okay, good.
But I don't know when we meet with them, they haven't given us the
No, we haven't got our
calendar
date
of
yet.
that, but when we do, who is going to that? Is
I
it
go
you
with
and
you
myself?
every year. like we
Okay,
always
just
do.
wanted to make sure that, okay.
Mike, any good news, bad news from your perspective on what you're providing services to us?
I don't think I have anything.
No?
I told him
Okay.
he couldn't talk tonight, so.
Well, I bet that broke his heart.
He
I bet that
emailed
broke
me
your
and I
heart.
said, he said, put this on the agenda. I said, I can't,
Just
sorry.
sit there and be happy, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I have is that on the contracts with engineers, there's 3 originals of each, and all 3 have to be signed.
Yes, I just have you to sign these.
Did I miss signing
I
them?
only had you only signed the one of each instead of.
Okay, I'll sign them tonight before I leave. Is there any other sewer business tonight, Corey?
Nope.
Lynn?
Nope.
Daniel or David? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Good, thank you.